In this presentation, we're going to talk about how to calculate FICA for someone that is self-employed. So the Self-Employment Contributions Act from 1951 stated that self-employed folks also have to pay FICA tax. All right, so they are taxed on their net earnings. So that means that not their total revenue, but instead they are able to take their revenue minus their expenses. So they're taxed on their net earnings or their net income. For OASDI, they have to pay both the employee portion plus the employer portion, 6.2 plus 6.2, so therefore they have to pay a full 12.4%. And again, because they don't have an employer, for HI they also have to pay the employee percentage and the employer percentage, so 1.45 plus 1.45 is 2.9%. So again, they only have to pay it on their net earnings, okay? So net earnings, again, I said it was their net income. If they're a partnership and they have partnership income that's distributed to them, then that would also be considered part of their net earnings. Also, if their net earnings are not, or well, if they're 400 or less, then they don't have to pay any FICA taxes. So they might be not doing well in their business, but at least they don't have to pay FICA tax. Okay. If you own more than one business, like I used to have a bookkeeping business, but I also used to be a musician. So I kind of had two self-employment incomes. In that case, I could offset any loss against any income. So I basically took the two self-employment businesses and netted them against each other. And that would be my considered my earnings to base my tax on. Okay, so in 2013, we've got self-employment taxes really of 15.3%, and that's just adding up both all of the OASDI and HI for the employee and the employer. So 6.2 for the employee, 6.2 for the employer for OASDI, and 1.45 for the employee, 1.45 for the employer for HI. So let's say that we have a self-employed individual that had net earnings of, let's say, $30,000, and so their self-employment tax, FICA tax, would be just 15.3% of that, and so that would be $45.90. Okay. So you can have W-2 and self-employment income, okay? And again, for OASDI, even for self-employed folks, they still have that cap in 2013 of $113,700. In 2014, of course, it's $117,000. So you can have W-2 and self-employment income, and in that case, you're going to factor in W-2 income first when you're considering this cap. Why? Because you've already had FICA tax taken out of W-2 income that's already been withheld. Okay, so that's going to go first when you're trying to figure out, have we met our cap of $113,700? Then you're going to factor in your self-employment income. Now, for self-employment taxes, like the FICA taxes, you don't report that on a Form 941. Okay, so instead it's going to be put on your personal tax return. So you'll calculate your profit or loss on Schedule C, and then you'll calculate your self-employment tax on Schedule SE. Much like other taxes for the IRS are, they still pay as you go. And so they don't want you to just wait until the end of the year to send in all your taxes. What they want you to do is make quarterly estimated payments. So basically after a quarter, you estimate, okay, I made this much, so therefore I owe this much in taxes. And so you go ahead and you send that in each quarter, what you estimate to be your self-employment taxes. So let's look at an example where we have W-2 and self-employment earnings. Okay, so here we've got Celia. Her W-2 is for $117,768, and then she also has self-employment income of $14,500. How much is her FICA on her self-employment income of $14,500? Well, Here, she's already met the OASDI cap, right? So we don't have to pay any OASDI on her self-employment income because she's already met that with her W-2 income. And again, remember, we factor her W-2 income first when we're taking into account have we met the OASDI cap or not. So, but HI, there is no cap on that, so all $14,500 would be taxable for that. So her HI will take $14,500 and we'll multiply by the HI rate, which is 1.45 plus 1.45 or 2.9%. When you do that, you should get $420.50. So therefore, we've got $420.50 for HI, and so our total FICA is the same amount, $420.50. All right, got one more example for you. Felipe, his W-2 is $78,000 and his self-employment income is $36,000. How much is Felipe's self-employment tax on the $36,000? So let's look and see. Obviously, the $78,000 W-2, taxes have already been taken out of that, okay? So let's look and see how much total he made. So $78,000 plus $36,000 is $114,000. Is that over our cap in 2013? Yes, okay, because remember our cap is $113,700. Barely over the cap, but it is, okay? So what we'll do is we need to figure out how much of the self-employment earnings are going to be subject to OASDI. For that, we're going to take the total cap, $113,700, minus what he's already had tax taken out of, which is his W-2 income, $78,000. So that means that $113,700 minus $78,000 is going to give us a taxable amount of his self-employment income of $35,700, which makes sense. This number is only $300 over the cap, right? So we'll take $36,000 minus $300 and we get $35,700. And then you're going to multiply that by the OASDI rate for self-employed, which is 12.4. Remember the 6.2 plus the 6.2. So if you do the math there, you get $4,426.80. So that's our OASDI. For HI, the full amount of the self-employment income is taxable because there's no cap. So $36,000 times my rate of 2.9, remember 1.45 for the employee, 1.45 for the employer, add them together, 2.9, and that gives you 1,044. So this is our HI. So our total, if you add the two together, would be the 4426.80 plus the 1,044. So my total is going to be 54.70 and 80 cents. And that's it.